Every sin has a seed, a dark root buried deep within the soil of someone's past. Often, it's in the shadows of childhood that these seeds are planted, nurtured by pain, watered by neglect, and grown in the toxic air of abuse. This is the story of Peter Kürten, a man whose monstrous crimes shook the world and earned him the name the Vampire of Dusseldorf, also the king of the sexual perverts. Kürten was found guilty of 9 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder, for which he was sentenced to death by beheading in April 1931. He was executed via guillotine in July 1931, at age 48. But before he became a predator who thrived on fear and blood, he was just a boy shaped by unimaginable horrors that twisted his soul into something unrecognizable. To understand the monster, we must first understand the child. Peter Kürten was born into a poverty-stricken, abusive family in Mulheim am Rhein on the 26th of May 1883, the oldest of 13 children. Kürten's parents were both alcoholics. His father frequently beat his wife and children, particularly when he was drunk. When intoxicated, Kürten's father often forced his wife and children to assemble before him before ordering his wife to strip naked and have sex with him as his children watched. He was jailed for 18 months for repeatedly raping his eldest daughter, who was just 13. Kürten befriended a local dog catcher who often tortured and killed the animals he caught, and Kürten soon became an active and willing participant in torturing the animals. From an early age, Kürten often ran away from home for periods of time ranging from days to weeks. Much of the time Kürten spent on the streets was in the company of petty criminals and social misfits. Kürten later claimed to have committed his first murders at the age of 9 when he pushed a school friend whom he knew was unable to swim off a log raft. When a second boy attempted to save the drowning youngster, Kürten held his head under the water, so that both boys drowned. Both deaths were ruled by authorities as being accidental. At the age of 13, Kürten formed a relationship with a girl his age, and she would resist any attempts he made to engage in intercourse. To relieve his sexual urges, Kürten resorted to acts of bestiality with sheep, pigs and goats in local stables, but later claimed he obtained his greatest sense of elation if he stabbed the animals just before achieving orgasm. Kürten claimed to have committed his first murder in adulthood in November 1899. In his 1930 confessions to investigators, he claimed to have picked up an 18-year-old girl at the Alleystrasse and persuaded her to accompany him to the Hofgarten. There, he claimed to have engaged in sex with the girl before strangling her into unconsciousness with his bare hands before leaving the scene. Shortly thereafter, in 1900, Kürten was arrested for fraud. Kürten began committing acts of arson, which he would discreetly watch from a distance as emergency services attempted to extinguish the fires. He also freely admitted these fires had been committed both for his sexual excitement and in the hope of burning sleeping tramps alive. Kürten confessed to his wife he was the Vampire of Dusseldorf. He urged his wife to collect the substantial reward offered for his capture. August Kürten contacted the police the following day. In the information provided to detectives, Kürten's wife explained that although she had known her husband had been repeatedly imprisoned in the past, she was unaware of his culpability in any murders. She then added that her husband had confessed to her his culpability in the Dusseldorf murders and that he was willing to likewise confess to the police. Furthermore, he was to meet her outside St. Rochus Church later that day. That afternoon, Kürten was arrested at gunpoint. Kürten freely admitted his guilt in all the crimes police had attributed to the Vampire of Dusseldorf, and further confessed he had committed the unsolved murder of Christine Klein and the attempted murder of Gertrude Franken in 1913. In total, Kürten admitted to 68 crimes, including 9 murders and 31 attempted murders. He made no attempt to excuse his crimes but justified them on the basis of what he saw as the injustices he had endured throughout his life. Kürten also admitted to both investigators and psychiatrists that the sight of his victim's blood was, on many occasions, sufficient to bring him to orgasm. He further claimed to have drunk the blood from the throat of one victim, from the temple of another, and to have licked the blood from a third victim's hands. In the Hahn murder, he had drunk so much blood from the neck wound that he had vomited. Kürten also admitted to having decapitated a swan in the spring of 1930 in order that he could drink the blood from the animal's neck, achieving ejaculation in the process. On the evening of the 1st of July 1931, Kürten received his last meal. He ordered Wiener Schnitzel, a bottle of white wine, and fried potatoes. Kürten ate the entire meal before requesting a second helping. The prison staff decided to grant his request, At 6 o'clock on the 2nd of July, Curtin was beheaded via guillotine in the grounds of Klingelputz prison, Cologne. His executioner was Karl Gropeler. Shortly before his head was placed on the guillotine, Curtin turned to the prison psychiatrist and asked the question, "Tell me, after my head is chopped off, will I still be able to hear, at least for a moment, the sound of my own blood gushing from the stump of my neck? That would be the pleasure to end all pleasures." When asked whether he had any last words to say, Curtin simply smiled and replied, "No." That brings us to the end of Peter Curtin's disturbing story. His crimes shocked the world, leaving behind a legacy that still fascinates and horrifies us today. Thank you for watching. If you found this video interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Take care and see you in the next video.